Have you ever sat down to finally start that important task, only to find yourself scrolling through your phone, reorganizing your desk, or watching just one more YouTube video? If that sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we knowingly delay things that matter, even when we know we'll regret it later? My personal battle with procrastination. I remember my worst episode of procrastination like it was yesterday. I had a massive project due, one that I had known about for weeks. But every time I thought about starting, a wave of dread hit me. Suddenly, everything else in the world seemed urgent. My desk needed cleaning. My email inbox needed organizing. Even watching a documentary about productivity felt like a good idea. Anything but the actual work. I kept pushing the project off until, of course, the night before the deadline. I pulled an all-nighter, fueled by coffee and stress, questioning every life decision that led me there. I promised myself I'd never do it again. But guess what? A few weeks later, I found myself in the exact same cycle. So why does this keep happening? The science behind procrastination. When we're faced with a difficult or unpleasant task, our brain perceives it as a threat, just like it would a physical danger. This triggers the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for emotions and fear. It releases stress hormones like adrenaline, making you feel overwhelmed and anxious. At the same time, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking and self-control, is trying to keep you on track. But if the emotional distress becomes too strong, your brain chooses the easy way out, avoidance. Instead of starting the task, you distract yourself with something less stressful, like checking your notifications or reorganizing your bookshelf, and for a brief moment you feel better. But that relief is short-lived and the cycle continues. Who is more likely to procrastinate? Procrastination isn't just a time management issue, it's an emotional regulation problem. Studies show that people with higher levels of anxiety, low self-esteem, or perfectionist tendencies are more prone to procrastination. Ironically, the people who care the most about their work often put it off the longest because they fear it won't be good enough. But here's the real danger. Procrastination reinforces itself. Every time you delay a task, your brain learns that avoidance temporarily reduces stress. This builds a habit that makes procrastination your default response to discomfort. How procrastination affects our lives. The impact of procrastination goes far beyond just missing deadlines. Over time, chronic procrastination can lead to increased stress and anxiety, lower self-esteem, decreased productivity and performance, strained relationships, especially if you miss commitments, health issues due to poor sleep and stress management. Looking back at my own struggles, I realized that procrastination wasn't just a work habit, it was bleeding into every area of my life. I was constantly feeling guilty about things I hadn't done. My stress levels were through the roof, and worst of all, I wasn't reaching my full potential. Breaking the cycle. So how do we stop procrastinating? The old advice, just be more disciplined, doesn't really work. Instead, we need to trick our brain into making tasks feel less intimidating. 1. Break tasks into smaller steps. Instead of saying, I have to write a report, tell yourself, I just need to write the first sentence. Once you start, momentum will carry you forward. I used to sit in front of my laptop dreading the idea of writing an entire report. But when I told myself, just write the title, it didn't seem so bad. Then I wrote one sentence. And before I knew it, I was in the flow. 2. Reduce distractions. Your environment plays a huge role. Put your phone in another room, use website blockers, or set a timer for focused work sessions. I found that the simple act of putting my phone on airplane mode while working dramatically improved my focus. No notifications, no distractions, just me and the task at hand. 3. Reframe the task. Instead of thinking, I have to do this, shift your mindset to, I get to do this. Finding meaning in the task makes it easier to start. When I started seeing my work as an opportunity rather than an obligation, my motivation changed. Instead of saying, I have to finish this project, I told myself, I have a chance to create something valuable. 4. Practice self-compassion. Beating yourself up over procrastinating only makes it worse. Instead, acknowledge it, forgive yourself, and focus on the next step. For a long time, I felt like a failure every time I procrastinated. But then I realized, everyone struggles with this. The key is not to dwell on it, but to learn from it and move forward. 5. Use the 3-2-1 trick. The moment you feel resistance, count down 3, 2, 1, and take action. This interrupts your brain's avoidance response and forces you to move. This trick changed everything for me. Now, when I catch myself hesitating, I count down from 3 and just do it. It's a small mental hack that makes a big difference. The challenge. Right now, think of one task you've been avoiding. It could be answering an email, working on a project, or even just tidying up your space. Now, count down 3, 2, 1, and go do it. I challenge you to take one small step toward breaking the procrastination cycle today. Because the sooner you take action, the sooner you'll experience the relief of getting things done. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.